To Sahara TV, my name is Rudolph Okonkwo, and with me here is Adeola.
Adeola, how
So this is a special edition of Sahara TV. We are doing a review of the year, and like Judge Benashaw said, that we are made wise not by recollection of the past, but by the responsibility we owe to the future. So when we talk about going back to look at what happened in the last 1 year, we are hoping that we learn something from them and be able to carry on in the next year. And in this segment, we are going to focus on the Occupy Nigeria movement and the oil subsidy removal that led to that. Because on January 1 of this year, the President of Nigeria announced the removal of oil subsidy in Nigeria. And the price went from
65 naira to 141.
141. So people went on the street and started demonstrating all parts of Nigeria and across the world. And the government was forced in a negotiation with the Nigerian Labour Congress to reduce it to
the price to 97.
97. Okay. But right now, if you look at it in Nigeria now, the price of petrol is now close to 200 from all different sources in other parts of the country. So the question is, what did people really achieve in that demonstration and that Occupy Nigeria, if they achieve anything? And we believe that, just like Fanon said, that every generation out of relative obscurity discover their mission. Either they betray it or they fulfill it. We want to ask ourselves, this generation that went on the streets and fought during the Occupy Nigeria, did they achieve it? Or did they betray
You start wondering if it's worth it after
exactly.
all,
16 people died.
Some people were killed.
16 people died in the Occupy Nigeria movement. And we've talked to a lot of people throughout the year. And most people we talk to, activists who were involved in this demonstration, they say it's kind of a prelude to something that will happen next. That now we've tested it. We know.
We're still waiting, though.
We know what will happen, how we are going to perfect it if it happens again. Of course, it's a possibility that come next year, they might remove whatever remains of the oil subsidy, and that will be an interesting thing to observe. So throughout today, we're going to talk about all the stories we've been covering in the last 1 year. We divided into several segments, and we are going to bring you interviews with guests that we had, and we encourage you to call into and give us your view on how the year went, what your outlook of next year will be like. So, but before we go into all that, we have a guest who has been very patient and is waiting for us to talk to him. His name is Alhaji Yahaya Ndu. He is the national chairman of the African Renaissance Party. This is one of the political parties that were registered. I think that was yesterday by INEC. So we want to talk to him and see what he thinks about INEC's decision to deregister his party and what he's going to do now, whether he's going to join any other party. And so, Alhaji Ndu, are you with us? Hello.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Rudolph.
Yeah, welcome to Sahara TV.
This is Yahaya.
Yeah, Yahaya, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, say hello to Adeola.
Hello, Alaji, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful.
Okay, so your party is gone. Are you happy about that?
Well, I wouldn't say my party is gone, but I would say my party is registered.
Yes.
To be registered as a political party, you can field candidates for election. But as for the existence of the party is still alive and robust.
Okay, so what next? What are you going to do next?
What we are going to do, first of all, let me say clearly that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, was 100% justified in registering my party. I say this for different reasons. The first reason is that INEC acted in total tandem with the law made by the National Assembly. That law was made more than 2 years ago, meaning that all political parties in Nigeria, including my party, had every opportunity under the sun to have gone to court to get that law declared null and void as being inconsistent with the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What we are going to do in the African Renaissance Party now, all the areas where INEC found that we are not very able, we are going to make ourselves able there, fill all our gaps, and then reapply for registration. believe that we will be registered when we meet the conditions and that we will participate very actively in the next coming election.
Will you be able to do all that before the 2015 election, though?
Of course, what is left is not much. Don't forget that we have been registered since 2002. We have been kicking up till last Friday. So I don't see any problem that we cannot surmount. So we are 100% confident that we'll scale through.
What is the goal of your party? How is it different from all the other political parties we have in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for this beautiful question. The name of my party to start with is African Renaissance Party. In our view, there are two political parties in Nigeria, the African Renaissance Party and the others. African Renaissance Party is a party that believes in restoring the dignity of the African. We believe that the African is the person that started the train of civilization. We want to see a people that is self-reliant, a people that can generate their own electricity, a people that can build their own vehicles, a people that will develop their own political organ and govern themselves as their ancestors did. We are a party that is very serious about dislocating the umbilical cord that ties our nation to the SY colonial masters. This is one aspect we have a very, very different political party in Nigeria.
So
in 2004, it was the African Renaissance Party that continued the campaign preparation for Africa from where it was led by the late MKO Abiola. The African Renaissance Party is connected with all groups around the world that are serious about African redemption. In this world, we are very similar in our country politics.
Now, let me ask you. We are looking at the year 2012 during this show, and how will you assess the 2012 year in terms of what the PDP has done in Nigeria?
My brother, to be very honest with you, I feel very worried when everybody talks about the PDP. The reason is this. 3/4 of all the people that belong to other political parties aside from the PDP are people who have problems in the PDP. And immediately they stop themselves out, they go right back to the PDP. The only party that is ideologically different from what the PDP offers is the African Renaissance Party. The rest parties, with all due respect, are simply concerned with power and the mix of the resources that come with that. On the other side, are concerned with restoring the dignity of our people, with eradicating poverty, with proving that the African man is not second class to any other class on earth. So if you ask me to assess what has been the situation in Nigeria with the PDP in governance, the truth is, number one, the PDP realizes that it has failed in all aspects. But it's not only the PDP that has failed. All other parties that are government in the states have totally failed. There is no party that is controlling any state in Nigeria that is running the affairs of that state differently from how they are run in their states. All the members of the National Assembly in Nigeria is for the same port. There has never been any ideological disputes or misunderstanding between people from other parties and those from the PDP in the National Assembly. So all talks about the PDP and other parties in power today is completely rubbish. All the members of the National Assembly are concerned with looting the resources of this country, regardless of the parties from which they got in. This is the bottom truth.
So, Alhaji, how is your party different from these popular parties?
My sister, let me make it clear once more. First of all, the governance system we operate in Nigeria and in the most of Africa today are governance systems that are copied from the Western world, that have no bearing or roots to our culture. In a lecture that I gave in the African Union Conference in South Africa last year in Pretoria, where the topic was democracy, not electocracy, the way forward for African residents. I made it clear that what you are operating in Nigeria and the rest of Africa today is electocracy and not democracy. African Renaissance is about true democracy. What we have in this country, I must repeat, is electocracy. It begins with elections. To start with, even the 1999 constitution that we operate today was made by the military. The masses of Nigeria have no input whatsoever in the making of that law. The African Renaissance Party is committed to restoring power to the masses of this country, to the ethnic nationalities that are bamboozled and pacified by the colonial masters before they took over our nation. When our forefathers got independence, what they did was that they simply stepped into the shoes of the past colonial masters. This is where African Renaissance Party is different. The African Renaissance Party wants to go back to our roots and start back from there.
So let me ask you, Alhaji. So there's a constitutional review going on now. Are you going there to make sure that some of these your ideas are considered as one of the changes they could make in the constitution? Or do you think it's a waste of time?
Thank you very much. I have already been there. The day it started, the legal section, the one for the Southwest, where David Mark, the Senate President, came to declare it open. I went there and I made my position known. I made it clear that our party believes that the National Assembly has no power to review the Constitution. They have power to amend certain sections of the Constitution, and that power derives from Section 9 of the 1999 Constitution. But to review a Constitution, it's like writing another Constitution. That power can only come from the generality of the populace of the nation. It cannot be a power that can be exercised by the National Assembly. The National Assembly is composed of people who are servants of the people, not masters of the people. A constitution is the grand norm. It can only be put into existence by the people themselves, not the government.
Now, well, hold on. Let me ask you, because you talked about reparation, and I'm interested in that. How can you approach the West, the people that you are asking to pay for slavery, when people from Africa are sending the money they stole from Africa back to the West? How do you propose that in light of this kind of behavior from African leaders?
My brother, I agree with you that the behavior of African leaders who steal their own people's money and send to the West is extremely reprehensible. The two wrongs does not make a right. That does not foreclose our right to demand for reparation. The reparation that we demand is not just on account of slave trade. If you read, for instance, the stories of people like King Geda of Opobo, King Nana of Ishekiri, and so on and so forth, Shaka Zulu, you name it. Even the imperialist onslaught on ancient Libya, or what's happened in the Benin in the time of Ovaran, you will see that the Western world desecrated African civilizations, empires, and understandings. What we plan to do, in fact, in 2004, the conference we plan to hold in Kingston, Jamaica, was termed Reparation for Africa, the Way Forward Judicial Action. What our style is to compile all the matters that we feel should go for adjudication, that we feel will give rise to our being paid the reparation, to take these matters to different courts around the world and demand for our reparation based on verbal injustices. Now, we think we deserve this right. The government of Germany is still paying reparations to Israel, despite the fact that many Israeli citizens assisted Hitler in his onslaught against the Jews. So, in the same vein, the fact that African leaders of today or rulers of today are stealing our resources and banking in Western banks does not mean that we still do that. We don't have any power again or right to demand for reparations for the injustices occasioned against us.
Okay, Alhaji, we are going to have really serious discussion with you, maybe in a different show, because you have a very important topic that I think needs to be discussed. But before I let you go, I want to ask you, because here in America, African Americans are saying that Africans actually owe them reparation for selling them into slaves. So what do you say to that? You are asking the West to pay reparation for buying slaves from Africa, and African Americans are saying, you owe me for selling me into slavery. What do you say to that?
The first thing I would like to say is that Africans never sold slaves as a people, that is communally. There was never a time that Africans in Africa sat down and decided to sell their kids and kin. There were incidences of individuals and communities selling people from their own areas. It was never a decision of the African continent as a whole. That doesn't mean that the descendants of Africans that participated in selling their kit and kin are blameless. As a matter of fact, in August last year, the African Renaissance Foundation, based in Badagry, in Lagos State, organized their Badagry Festival. Part of the activities of the festival was atonement for the sins of slavery. And in that program, descendants of those who participated actively in this slave trade from this part of the world had to apologize for the activities of their ancestors. What I'm trying to say is that the activities of Africans that participated in selling their own kit and kin is totally inexcusable. But that does not mean that we don't have our right to demand for reparation. Like I said before, it is not only the issue of slave trade that gives us for reparation. You have a case when the whites will come into a people's land empire and destroy them. This has nothing to do with slavery. I'm simply saying that the slave trade was just one of the numerous matters that give rise to demand for reparation.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Alhaji, we have to leave it here. We thank you for coming on Sahara TV, and we will reschedule you to come and let's talk about this reparation and the situation with Africa at a different time, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for coming on.
I think we are going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion on Occupy Nigeria movement and subsidy removal.